Hi, Michael King here today to talk to you about the effect on your health of alcohol and recreational drug consumption. I'm going to concentrate on alcohol because it's the most widely used legal drug in the world. However, the rationale translates to any recreational drug. Know this, there is no place whatsoever for recreational drugs or alcohol in the life of a spiritual initiate. Alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen, just like tobacco and asbestos. It is a major cause, perhaps the major cause, of breast, liver, bowel and throat cancer. There is a reason that the word intoxication was chosen to explain the effects of alcohol on the body. Intoxication is derived from a Latin word meaning to poison. Even though getting intoxicated by drinking alcohol means you are essentially poisoning your body, millions upon millions of us enjoy this pastime on a regular basis and call it pleasurable. There is a reason why 1 in 2 people in the Western world are going to get cancer. A big reason of that is because you drink alcohol. The biological process by which alcohol impairs our movement, judgment and speech is actually a fairly simple one that can occur very quickly. The rate at which one becomes intoxicated depends on a variety of variables, including individual tolerance, amount of food in the stomach and weight. Alcohol is attracted to the membranes of our nerve cells where it concentrates and thus affects their function. This is how alcohol impairs your motor function, speech, and many times your natural inhibitions and overall judgment. Long-term alcoholics experience a more permanent disorder termed alcohol-induced neuropathy. The nerve cell damage from years of drinking alcohol manifests in symptoms such as numbness in the lower extremities and weakness in the limbs. Alcohol prevents the soul from being able to control its physical vehicle. Alcohol seriously damages the liver, kidneys, pancreas, heart and gallbladder over time, which leads to early organ failure, cancer and or other disease. Alcoholic beverages also cause inflammation of the stomach lining and they irritate the entire digestive and waste elimination tract as well. It increases the risk of inflammatory bowel disease, colon cancer, various digestive disorders and ulcers. Alcohol is a poison. There is no safe limit for alcohol consumption. Spiritual growth asks that you put down all of your masks and you become as authentic as you possibly can. Addictions in any form are designed by you to ensure that you hide the truth of who you are at all costs. Addictions do not make good companions. The addiction will always win. This is why in order to grow spiritually, you need to first recognize and acknowledge that you have an issue and then address it, however you choose to do that. I am speaking from personal experience, as I myself used to move in circles of friends and family where one simply did not go out or stay in without drinking alcohol or doing drugs. It came to a point in my own life a long time ago where substances and I became a dangerous combination. It started to open me up to dark and dangerous regions of my soul, and sadly all addictions will ultimately lead you to such a place within. I spent many years in denial until I realized I needed to change profoundly. I thought that others had an alcohol problem, but I didn't. Alcoholics were people who drank all the time, had difficulty with relationships and couldn't hold down a job. Even though alcohol had destroyed my first marriage, I was okay because I did not drink every day, although I drank most days, and I was also working 3 jobs. Even though I was losing friends over my drinking, and people that loved me and cared about me kept telling me that I had a problem, I still refused to accept that I needed to change. At the time, I simply couldn't imagine my life without alcohol and marijuana. Now, I cannot imagine my life as it once was. Denial is a great thing, for addictions anyway. One doesn't need to change. One doesn't have to change. You simply continue on your way with your head in the sand. The problem with alcohol, as with most drugs, is their addictive nature. The drug begins to control the life of the individual and not the other way around. They actually affect the neuron pathways and the wiring in your nervous system. I started the process of giving up alcohol in part, but it didn't work for me, and I've never really known it to work for anyone. In the end, it was all or nothing, and that's the way it remains for me. It was one of the best and probably one of the most courageous decisions that I have ever made and followed through with. In the process, I had to give up some good friends. I had to find new friends who didn't drink. One of the signs of addiction is that even when you're not directly engaged in the action of the addiction, it is still on your mind. In other words, you are looking forward to the next time when you can engage in the activity of the addiction. Anyone who is serious about spiritual awakening and spiritual growth will at some point on their spiritual journey have to make what are often very difficult choices in relation to their lifestyle. Someone who I greatly admire, the author and teacher Dr. Wayne Dwyer, writes about the choice he had to make about doing the work he felt called to do and the choice he had to make to stop drinking alcohol. In our modern civilized society, we have no real rituals of initiation for our young people. Instead, we leave them to initiate themselves through difficult periods of transition in their young lives. We leave them to experiment with poisons that damage their bodies, sometimes in the short term, but definitely always in the long term. We license powerful drugs that are becoming more and more powerful, and we collectively pretend that this is okay. Understand this: there is no safe level of alcohol or recreational drug consumption. The myth of a safe level of drinking is a powerful claim. It is one that many health professionals appear to believe in, and that the alcohol industry uses to defend its strategy of making the drug readily available at low prices. However, the claim is simply wrong, and the supporting evidence is flawed. There is no safe dose of alcohol for these reasons. Alcohol is a toxin that kills cells, which is why we use it to preserve food and sterilize skin and needles. Alcohol kills humans too. A dose only 4 times as high as the amount that would take you over the limit as far as drink driving is concerned will kill most people. The toxicity of alcohol is worsened because in order for it to be cleared from the body, it has to be metabolized to even more toxic substances. I used to think that because I was a serious spiritual seeker, and one who had been graced by a profound spiritual awakening at a young age, that I could handle a relationship with alcohol and drugs. As I found out to my cost, addiction can enter one's life at any point. Alcohol is a depressive and it is highly addictive. It's easy to get into the habit of drinking, and it's easy to get into the habit of drinking alcohol every day. Globally, through the spiritual community, we have a river of denial running concerning the use of substances to manipulate blood chemistry. There is no enlightenment possible from simulating high-level spiritual states by manipulating your blood chemistry. Globally, we have an increasingly dysfunctional relationship with alcohol and drugs, as well as many other forms of modern addiction. As a culture in denial, we invite the escalating destruction of the physical, mental and spiritual health of our planet, and especially the health of our young people. Please watch my other video on ending the cycle of addictions. If you're serious about the spiritual path, you must walk the talk of self-love, and that means not filling your body with poison and calling it pleasure. If we don't walk the talk, then we are just hypocrites, and hypocrisy has no place in the life of a spiritual initiate. A lot of hard drugs, I always had the sense never to do anything more serious than marijuana, which is bad enough for you. But the serious drugs, these manufactured drugs, these designer drugs and powder, just doing it once can seriously reduce your potential for self-actualization and enlightenment in this lifetime. Drugs like LSD. LSD is a drug that literally dissolves the egoic cortex in the aura. And the problem with that is that once the ego has been dissolved, it knows it's temporal. Part of the spiritual processes which allows the melding of spirit and matter involves the dissolving of the ego. The problem with if you use these designer drugs which actually give you a temporary artificial dissolving of the ego is when it reconstitutes, everything's mixed up. But the big problem there is that the ego then knows that it is temporal in nature and it can be dissolved. And it sets up strategies which make the whole process of source actualization hundreds of times more difficult. There is no benefits to doing recreational drugs. Recreational drug users are losers. You don't want to be a loser, you want to be a winner. I hope to meet you sometime soon at one of our Cosmosis transformational events. I hope that you've had the common sense and the spiritual sense to end your use of chemicals and that you call pleasure, and that you're learning to get high on life again. Lots of love. Hope to see you soon. Might see you upstairs. Keep on loving.